Days ahead of Halloween, and authorities are warning parents and kids to be on the lookout for marijuana products packaged to look similar to candy. Here's ABC's Perry Russum.
Near Sacramento, California, several third graders got sick after eating candy later found to contain THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. The school principal says the packaging closely resembled regular candy, and the student who brought it to school had no idea what it actually was. A spokesperson for the National Confectioners Association saying, with consumer safety as our top priority, we advocate for common sense regulations to ensure cannabis-containing edibles are viewed as distinct from confectionery products.
Police are also urging parents to keep any edibles locked up. Scorching temperatures returning to Southern California, along with the risk of raising the fire danger. ABC's Alex Stone is in Los Angeles.
Much of Southern California is under heat advisories for a couple of days. Temperatures in some valleys around L.A. in the mid-90s during the day. But more worrisome for firefighters is the first round of Santa Ana wind is moving in, the warm, super dry wind that comes in from the desert. Those winds often fuel some of California's worst wildfires. By the end of the week, they should move out.
Temperatures will also be in the 90s for tonight's Game 4 of the World Series. It follows a dramatic Game 3 last night, with the Dodgers taking the lead and beating the Toronto Blue Jays when first baseman Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off home run in the 18th inning. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
4:05 now on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I'm Will Feelright with your local headlines. Well, a 20-year-old Logan man remains in jail after being arrested and charged with multiple first-degree felonies after allegedly raping a 13-year-old girl from North Logan. Walter Vasquez Aguilar was booked into the Cache County Jail back on October 21st. Now, charges filed last Friday included rape of a child, sodomy on a child, object rape of a child, and aggravated sexual abuse of a child. Now, the investigation began back on October 13th when a girl and her mother reported receiving threatening and explicit messages on social media. Now, during the investigation, North Park police discovered a video on the victim's phone of her and a male engaged in sexual activity. Now, the victim told investigators that she met the man on Snapchat. She said that he had picked her up and drove her to a West Logan residence where the alleged rape occurred. Now, police located the man at the residence, and after being shown the video, Vasquez Aguilar allegedly confessed and was arrested. Now, Judge Spencer Walsh ordered him to be held without bail due to the severity of the charges. Meanwhile, county clerks across the state are urging residents to submit their ballots before next Tuesday's deadline, emphasizing a critical change in state election law, which that now states ballots must be received by 8 o'clock on Election Day and not just postmarked. Now, voter turnout so far for the off-year municipal election has remained low. Lanny Chapman, who's Salt Lake County's clerk, reported that only about 10% of registered voters have cast their ballots so far. Now, Utah County Clerk Aaron Davidson noted that many residents there simply just have not voted in local races despite high-stake contests that are in a number of races. Now, clerks have stressed that due to the law change this year, voters who wait until the last minute should utilize a secure ballot drop box instead of relying on the Postal Service. Now, there will be in-person voting available on the day of the election, November 4th, at the Cache County Events Center. And finally, a 58-year-old man died while rappelling at Zion National Park over the weekend following a canyoneering accident on Sunday, near the end of the Pine Creek Canyon route. Now, North National Park Service law enforcement said they responded just after noon to reports of the incident. Officials confirmed that the man was on the last rappel of the canyon when the accident occurred. Now, bystanders attempted CPR while first responders navigated the difficult terrain. Due to the remote location, first responders said it took about 90 minutes for them to get to the scene where they then pronounced the man dead. Now, no further details on the incident have been released. A joint investigation, though, involving the Washington County Sheriff's Office and Zion National Park is currently underway. Well, it's been a gorgeous afternoon as temperatures have been in the high 40s today. Tonight will drop back into the high 20s. It's going to be another cold one with mostly clear skies continuing through the next several days. Now, tomorrow we'll see temperatures around 57, and then we'll stay in the high 50s Thursday, Friday, get into the low 60s on Saturday. And weather this hour brought to you by Edson Builders. If you're looking to build, now may be a great time to qualify for a $20,000 first-time home builder incentive. Call Edson Builders today to find out if you qualify. 232-2680. And, of course, you can always get more news at kvnutalk.com and the KVNU mobile app, available at the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. And I'm Will Feelwright, KVNU News.
For over a decade, Roof Rescue has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We understand the value of your time. That's why we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day. With award-winning service, 100% guaranteed workmanship, and the best warranties in the industry, your watertight peace of mind is guaranteed. Call us today at 435-999-4268 or visit roofrescueusa.com and ask for the $250 off any roof replacement. Financing available? That's roofrescueusa.com.
Breaking news and stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
This is Jill Anderson, CEO at CAPSA. At CAPSA, you matter. To survivors of domestic and sexual violence, you matter. CAPSA is here to help you escape the chains of abuse and rebuild a life filled with hope and safety. And to each of our donors, you matter to this work. Your donations directly fund programs that create safety and rebuild lives. Learn more about CAPSA and how you matter at capsa.org.
When plumbing problems hit, you don't want just anyone in your home. You want a trusted friend with a proven track record. That's why more people are turning to JM Mechanical Plumbing. The same company that's been keeping your home comfortable for decades has a team of plumbing experts for leaks, boilers, water softeners, or water heaters. JM Mechanical Plumbing does it right the first time. Call 563-6267 today and let the trusted experts at JM Mechanical Plumbing take care of your home.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News, tracking the government shutdown, Trump's trip in Asia, and Hurricane Melissa's damage. Also, where things stand with a year to go before the all-important midterm elections. We'll examine the latest polling and strategies. Plus, why we can't stop talking about inflation and the workplace trends set to define 2026. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. Tomorrow morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Tuesday, October 28th. I'm Jason Williams. 47 degrees here at the Radio Ranch at 4:12 in the afternoon. And no, I don't have a cold. I'm just allergic to air right now. So bear with me. A little stuffy nose, some sniffling, occasional throat clearing. It's fall hay fever season. Such fun. Coming up on the show today, a lot. We'll be speaking with yet another Providence City Council candidate. As you may know, the Providence City mayoral race was canceled due to, well, lack of competition after a candidate was disqualified. And that race was canceled, but there are 4 candidates in Providence running for 2 city council seats in this general election. So Last week we spoke with Lad Kennington. Today on the show we'll be joined by Janelle Seeley, a candidate for Providence City Council. We also have audio of a speech Governor Cox gave to a group of young Republicans. This happened last week, but I asked if someone involved could get me the audio, and they were nice enough to do that. This was Governor Cox speaking to a group of young Republicans. He talked about everything, what it was like to have the entire nation watching him during the events of the Charlie Kirk assassination at Utah Valley University in September. What it's been like for him as a Republican governor of a red state, trying to promote a message of national unity and being, despite having endorsed the president and voted for him, assumedly, I don't think he ever told us for sure, but he said he was going to, being someone who is outspokenly not a fan of the current administration's tactics. The governor has been critical of some of the uses of National Guard, sending them into cities in blue states in kind of political maneuvers, the governor called them. But he's also very, very critical of Democrats for, in this current government shutdown, the governor has said Democrats are doing their own political posturing here at the expense of, the government not being open. So he's sitting in the middle, or at least he's trying to. And that was a big part of the conversation. So we've got some audio of what he said to this group of young Republicans here in Utah last week amidst a bit of a scandal that college Republicans were dealing with, the leaking of a chat of leadership of college Republican groups all around the country. That chat was leaked to Politico, and it was chock full of some pretty egregious racism, a lot of homophobia, misogynist comments. One comment that called rape epic. That person has, of course, been removed from leadership of that college Republican group. It wasn't a good thing. And so that came up as well as the governor was speaking to this group of young Republicans. So, again, we have the audio of that for you coming up later on in the show. Candidate for Providence City Council, Janelle Seeley. And to start things out here, full story at CashValleyDaily.com, but this caught everyone's eye. Most of you yesterday probably got your yearly tax bill, if you will, public notice from County Treasurer Craig McAllister, and your property taxes explained in this gigantic envelope that comes, right? But there were other messages included. For those who haven't opened the envelope yet or haven't received them yet because the mail is taking a bit longer, I'm going to spoil it for you. The official notices for Cache County's intent to raise property taxes in 2026 has gone out. And they, have not gone over well, to be honest with you. But there was also included a message, an unusual message from County Executive George Daines. In the public notice, which is required by law, County Treasurer Craig McAllister confirms that the proposed property tax increase of about 18% would raise revenues by more than $3 million, $3.7 million to be exact. Those funds, the county council has said, are needed to cover inflationary costs of personnel and public safety. And what that translates to basically is that in 2026, your property taxes, the taxable value of a home around $250,000 would increase $52, and the average increase for a taxable business property would be around $300. So it's an 18% increase, but remember, this is just the county's portion of your tax bill, so that's why the dollar amount of just $50 additional a year is a lot smaller than 18% sounds like. But again, $50 here, $50 there. Eventually, it does get, especially for those on a fixed income, it gets concerning. McAllister explains in the notice that a truth in taxation meeting, which is also required by law, this is a public hearing basically, mandated by state law, and that will take place Tuesday, November 18th at 6 p.m. That will be at the County Administration Building, and that is, again, required by law. This is an opportunity for residents to go out and hear an explanation of the proposed property tax increase, but also to respond, to give feedback, to ask questions, things like that. So all this is pretty typical anytime there's a proposed tax increase, and it's coming at the same time that property taxes are hitting mailboxes. So, yeah, again, bad timing. People are going to see that bill and then see the proposed increase, and I don't think that's going to go over well in general. But there was an accompanying message in the envelope, and it was a letter from new County Executive George Daines. If you remember, Daines here in our studio as a candidate said he was running primarily on one thing. He was running in a special election to replace outgoing County Executive David Zook. And right here in our studio, he said his main issue for running was to address Cache County's budget problem. $7+ million budget shortfall, proposed property tax increase to help make up some of that, if not all of it, and more. And since he stepped into office after winning the special election, he's been working on this. He's proposed some things that he's getting some pushback on. Cutting the budget for the county library is probably one of the most prominent. The community at the south end of the valley not happy at that proposal. The council would have to decide eventually on that, but that was proposed by the county executive, and he's working. And admittedly, this is quite a challenge, but he's working on a plan to balance the county budget. In which spending decreases would have to be a part of that to balance it. So he explains in the letter, he said, during the period from 2020 to 2025, Cache County received large infusions of federal revenues to the tune of about $12 million. Most of this was pandemic funding, and another $25 million from the Inflation Reduction Act, which was geared towards building bridges and roads and things like that. And then, of course, the county also saw quite a bit in new sales tax revenue, just from the way sales tax is adjusted and equated. So Daines said that Cache County is left with a budget that has grown by almost 200%. He says in the letter that he's had, quote, exhaustive consultations with county department heads, and working with his own newly appointed internal budget team, they've recommended about $2.8 million in budget cuts. And that recommendation was made on at the Cache County Council meeting on October 14th. You can actually listen to that whole meeting. Poor audio on this one, unfortunately. A weird echo happening with the audio. They need better miking at those Cache County Council meetings for the live stream and YouTube video afterwards. But you can still make out what they're saying despite the irritating echo. And he kind of breaks down this $2.8 million budget cut proposal, and that was on October 14th. If you want to go watch that, but he said at the time, and he repeats in this letter that went out yesterday, that he's suggesting additional budget cuts, or will be suggesting additional budget cuts tonight. So that meeting will start in about 40 minutes, and so. He acknowledges in the letter, he said, I will sadly be recommending the Cache County Council that it should cease operation of the county library. He also said that continuation of the Senior Citizen Center is being evaluated. This understandably has a lot of people alarmed. Daines said that he expects the budget recommendations to be challenged by members of the public and the county council. He's not expecting this to go over well, his proposal. And again, the county council makes the final decision on all of this, not the executive. But Daines said in the letter that he said, your voice and participation are essential in meeting the challenge of controlling Cache County's public spending. I ask you to participate in this democratic process. And what he promises in the letter is that ahead of the Truth in Taxation public hearing on November 18th, again at 6 p.m. at the administrative building there in the Cache County Council chambers of the historic courthouse, that Truth in Taxation meeting, required by state law, will start at 6 p.m. November 18th. But what Daines promises in the letter is that 4 hours prior to that, so starting at 2 in the afternoon, he is going to make himself available to the public. And he's even asking people to send their questions in advance. So he's saying that he'll have a question and answer forum that will start at 2 in the afternoon on November 18th. Same place, Cache County Administration Building there in the council chambers. The state law required truth and taxation meeting will start at 6. But 4 hours prior to that, Daines is saying that he'll be holding this question and answer forum, just an open door for 4 hours prior to the truth and taxation meeting. He says in the letter, I will be there to talk with all concerned citizens. I will answer all questions submitted in advance or in person about the budget. Other county officers will be available to answer questions as well. And again, that will start at 2 p.m. for the 4 hours preceding the truth and taxation meeting required for a proposed property tax increase on November 18th. 2 to 6 p.m., the open door Q&A forum with Cache County Executive George Daines and other county department heads available. And then at 6 p.m., the truth and taxation meeting required by state law. So again, that is November 18th. Mark that on your calendars. He's asking anyone with questions that they want answered in advance or at the meeting. Submit your questions in advance to george.daines@cachecounty.gov. That is Daines, george.daines@cachecounty.gov. Or you can actually call and leave a question at 755-1852. So again, questions in advance of the November 18th full day of budget discussions and more with the county executive, and then starting at 2, just an open door 4-hour Q&A forum the county executives offered. You can swing by, you can submit questions in advance, all of this stuff. And that is, again, starting at 2 p.m. on November 18th, and then at 6 p.m., the state law required truth and taxation meeting for the proposed property tax increase. Questions in advance, again, can be submitted to george.daines, Daines, george.daines@cachecounty.gov, or you can call and leave a question to be answered at the Q&A forum on the 18th. Ahead of the truth and taxation meeting, you can call 755-1852. As far as I know, this is a first in Cache Valley history. I do not remember a time that any elected official has said, for 4 hours ahead of a truth and taxation meeting, those never go over well, right? That's never a pleasant event to go to a truth and taxation meeting and find out your taxes are going up and here's why, right? No one wants to hear that, even if they support it or understand. But ahead of that event, starting at 6 p.m. on the 18th, for 4 hours, 2 to 6 p.m. at the Cache County Administrative Building, the historic courthouse there, the Cache County Council Chambers at the historic courthouse, the county executive for 4 hours, 2 to 6 p.m., making himself available for any and all questions about the county budget. This is a unique proposal, to say the least. So hats off to County Executive George Daines for this. And if you want to know more, or if you are driving and couldn't write that email address and phone number down to submit your questions in advance for the Q&A forum, you can go to the story at CacheValleyDaily.com. County executive urges taxpayers to get involved in ongoing Cache County budget debate. We'll be back right after this.
If you're looking for a place to host your holiday party, think Beehive Pub and Grill. Executive Chef Dustin McKay and his team will take care of your group with dozens of tasty entrees and desserts. Burgers, sandwiches, salads, and don't forget their famous turtle cake. Book the Logan restaurant by calling in for off-site catering. Beehive Pub and Grill is the perfect place to host your work or family party. Open 11 to 8:30 weekdays and 11 to 9 Friday and Saturday. Beehive Pub and Grill is perfect for the holidays.
I'm Larry Gelwigs, the getaway guru for Morris Columbus Travel on Holland America Line, with the biggest cruise promotion of the year, including a free drink package, free specialty dining, free Wi-Fi, and free shore excursions. Sail with Holland America Line and get free. And for the best travel deals on the planet, give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
when you take a walk around your neighborhood and notice all the things that make it feel like home. One thing might be a little harder to notice because somewhere tucked in that neat row of houses is hunger. Over 30 million Americans don't know where their next meal is coming from. At Albertsons Companies and Safeway Foundations, we're on a mission to provide 1 billion meals by 2030 because everyone should be welcome at the table. Learn more at nourishingneighbors.com. Let's break the cycle of hunger together.
Wednesday edition Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. Get your popcorn. Curtis Sliwa, Republican candidate, New York City mayor, will join us. There may well be fireworks. We will have fun with that. Plus, Byron Donalds, the man we expect to be the next governor of Florida, all that and more. He's currently a congressman. We'll talk about the shutdown. You won't want to miss it. It'll be the Wednesday edition of Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Cache County School District several months ago asked parents, students, community members in general to weigh in, to offer feedback on the names and even mascots for 2 new middle schools. This is kind of a fun thing they do to get the community involved and help the community feel a little bit of ownership of the new schools. And the results are in. Cache County School District today announced the names, mascots, and even colors for the new schools. New middle school in Hyde Park will be known as Juniper Ridge Middle School, home of the Foxes. Their colors will be blue, gray, and white. In Nibley, Maple View Middle School, as it was named by the community, will be the Hawks, and their colors will be blue and gray. Also, a new elementary school is currently under construction in Hyde Park. District officials said school names, colors, and mascots were selected through community surveys and reviewed by a naming committee. They have to make sure they don't match too closely with other schools. It's complicated. And then, of course, they have to be approved by the Board of Education, which they were. And along with this announcement of the new Juniper Ridge Middle School in Hyde Park, the Foxes, and Maple View Middle School in Nibley, the Hawks, they also announced that open enrollment for the schools is live. This actually started October 18th and will be open until December 12th. And you can visit the Cache County School District website. Specifically, you want to go to CCSD, Cache County School District, CCSDUT, Utah, ccsdut.org/enrollment. And that open enrollment for the new middle schools in Hyde Park and Nibley is, again, currently open, closes December 12th. The earlier dates, they said, even though this isn't for until the 2026-27 school year, they said this helps the district for new school boundaries, basically getting an idea of how many people want their children to attend these middle schools will help them redefine the boundaries for these the school boundaries itself. So it helps them gauge capacity ahead of the schools actually opening, which won't be until about just under a year from now, fall of 2026. So again, if you're interested in applying in the open enrollment or applying for the school outside of what is likely to be the school's boundary, you're able to do that through this open enrollment period. So all the details on this, again, at the Cache County School District website, the story with photos at cachevalleydaily.com. And on the other side, Governor Cox spoke to a large group of young Republicans this week after a bit of a scandal. Last week, a group chat leaked showing leadership in several college Republican groups, well, not being leaders, we'll put it that way. Big story in Politico. Led to some embarrassment, several resignations, and a couple of forced removals from college Republican leadership around the country. Governor Cox had this event scheduled already before that scandal even broke, but he talked about it. He also talked about what it was like to be the governor of Utah after the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, with the entire nation watching him each day in those press conferences. And this movement, he says he's still hoping to spark, that he calls Disagree Better. And you can kind of hear the young Republican group liking what they hear. We've got the audio for you, courtesy of one of the staffers at the event that I happen to know. Asked them if they'd send it along. The governor touched on several themes in about a 25-minute speech, but I've got the most interesting 8 minutes right after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Himalayan Flavor along Main Street, a local restaurant specializing in Indian cuisine, has announced it's offering complimentary meals to individuals and families that are struggling right now due to the ongoing federal government shutdown. Now, in a weekend post on social media, owner Rashan Kumar said that the restaurant, which has locations in Logan, Pocatello, and Idaho Falls, is providing 3 different meal options, including individual plates and family-style meals of up to $40 worth of food. Now, the offer is limited to 1 meal per person per day and will continue as long as resources allow. Kumar, who urged those accepting the offer to just discreetly inform their server and then provide identification. He emphasized the importance right now of feeding the community, especially during times of need, saying that their job is to make sure that they feed people. Meanwhile, the Larry H. Miller Company breaking ground yesterday on a multi-billion-dollar power district, a 100-acre mixed-use development west of Salt Lake downtown that aims to anchor a possible future Major League Baseball expansion franchise. Now, the $3.5 billion project, which is situated near the Utah State Fair Park, will feature a 10-story campus for Rocky Mountain Power. However, the primary focus is preparing a site for a MLB stadium, showing baseball executives that Utah is ready for a possible team. Now, Larry H. Miller Company's CEO, Steve Starks, noted that an MLB stadium would serve as a catalyst for economic growth. Now, Salt Lake City is considered to be a front-runner for the Western expansion spot, consistently ranking highly in analysis alongside Nashville on the eastern side. Now, the Rocky Mountain Power Building is expected to be completed in 2 years, with the overall power district continuing to take shape in the years ahead. And law enforcement say they made 2 major drug busts, roughly 2.5 hours apart, along I-80 near Echo Reservoir. Now, altogether, they netted more than 160 pounds of drugs. The first stop occurred late Sunday night when a Utah Highway Patrol trooper pulled over a Honda Accord for an illegal window tint. Now, during a search of the vehicle, the trooper found approximately 66 pounds of methamphetamine and 2 pounds of cocaine that all had been hidden inside a speaker box in the trunk. Now, the driver was arrested on a charge of intent to distribute, while a couple hours later, Monday morning, a different trooper stopped a minivan in the same area on a high beam violation. The trooper detected the odor of marijuana and found over 100 pounds of raw marijuana, thousands of THC vape cartridges, along with edibles and a gun that was all concealed beneath blankets in the minivan. Now, that driver was also arrested on multiple drug and firearm charges. Well, it's been a beautiful afternoon, but it has been a little cooler as temperatures have only been in the high 40s today. Tonight, it's going to be another cold one with temperatures down into the high 20s. Tomorrow will start to warm up, though, a little bit, as we'll be up to around 57 for Wednesday, then 58 for Thursday and Friday, low 60s coming for the weekend. Kind of looking forward to that. And it's Dr. Keith Nilsson that brings you weather as part of the news. Don't live with knee pain another day. There's no need to leave Logan for knee surgery when Dr. Keith Nilsson offers over 27 years of experience right here in Cache Valley. Visit his website at drkeithnilsonortho.com. That's drkeithnilsonortho.com. And I'm Will Feelright, KVNU News.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Hurricane Melissa has been churning across Jamaica for most of the day. The massive storm making landfall on the island's west coast as a Category 5 hurricane. Now one of the most powerful storms on record in the Atlantic Basin. It has weakened to a Category 4. ABC News meteorologist Melissa Griffin says the storm, though, is slowly moving out.
It's expected to remain a major hurricane as it reaches Cuba by later tonight through tomorrow morning. So still, catastrophic flooding, numerous dangerous landslides. These are expected for Jamaica today, by Cuba tonight as the heavy rain moves on shore. 9 to 13-foot storm surge still remains possible across the south shore of Jamaica, and we could see several feet of storm surge for the south shore of Cuba as well.
The deputy chair of Jamaica's disaster risk management says there are reports that 3 families are trapped in Black River on the west coast, and rescue crews are still trying to reach the area. Victoria Samuels lives in Kingston and tells ABC News her family home has suffered damage and reports that rivers are.
Hi there, we're your new neighbors, the Voles. I'm Horrible, and this is my wife, Terrible. Hi! It's been such a great summer, we gotta have an army of children. Now we're fixing to tear up your yard. The only warning sign of us is some surface tunneling holes, and then boom! Yard death! What do you think? Should we get started, Ma? Yep. These guys aren't gonna call it troops at Logan Extermination.
Voles are a problem. They can tear up your lawn and garden. But there is something you can do. Call Logan Extermination at 752-8450.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Hi, this is Ty with Adams Wealth Advisors. U.S. equities finished higher Tuesday, driven by renewed strength in technology shares. The S&P 500 rose 0.2%, the Nasdaq gained 0.7%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.3%. Treasury yields were little changed, while gold and Bitcoin extended their modest recoveries from recent lows. Microsoft advanced 2%, pushing its market capitalization above $4 trillion, after announcing a landmark deal with OpenAI that grants it a 27% stake valued at approximately $130 billion in the ChatGPT developer. The company reports quarterly earnings tomorrow after the close, with investors watching for AI-driven revenue growth. Nvidia surged 5%, boosting broader market sentiment following news of a $500 billion collaboration with the U.S. Department of Energy to build next-generation AI supercomputers. The company also revealed a $1 billion investment in Nokia to co-develop AI-enabled telecom and networking infrastructure. Technology led all sectors, offsetting losses elsewhere. The consumer discretionary sector ended flat, supported by Amazon, which gained after announcing 14,000 corporate job cuts as part of an AI-driven efficiency initiative. Amazon reports results Thursday after the bell. On the geopolitical front, new details emerged on U.S.-China trade talks ahead of a meeting between President Trump and President Xi Jinping later this week. The framework reportedly includes potential tariff rollbacks if Beijing curbs exports of chemicals used to make fentanyl. Looking ahead, investors await Wednesday's Federal Reserve meeting, where policymakers are widely expected to cut interest rates by 25 basis points to a range of 3.75% to 4%.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
Want to set yourself apart from the competition? The Leadership MBA at Utah State University will help you lead companies and drive change in your organization. You can attend in person in Logan on Thursday evenings or take an interactive online class. Complete your MBA in as little as a year. Apply before November 1st to be considered for a January start. Contact the MBA office for a waiver of the $55 application fee. Learn more at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com.
On the next Handle on the Law.
How about this? What if I run for president and I say I'm the best one, and I have a radio station and I talk to millions of people? So, Tim, by the way, I still don't know how to spell your name because I don't care. I'm running for president. Here's how to spell my name. How?
Saturday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM, the voice of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Coming up at 5 o'clock, Providence City Council candidate Janelle Seeley will join us. Providence is growing fast. A lot of things changing, at least on the public-facing side of the city, along the highway there and more. And we'll have a chance to talk with Janelle, as we did last week with Ladd Kennington, also a candidate on the ballot if you're a Providence resident. And just a reminder as well, clock is ticking. And if you haven't mailed your ballot by this Friday, don't drop it in a drop box. I recommend the drop box in general, just because you pass 3 or 4 on your daily commute. They're at every city hall. You don't have to drop them in your own city hall drop box. You can drop it. If you're up in Hyde Park and you live in Hiram, you can still drop it at the Hyde Park City Hall drop box. Either way, they end up at the county clerk's office, right? And that's the easiest way and the guaranteed way to make sure your ballot is in the hands of election officials before 8 p.m. on Tuesday, Election Day. Again, the legislature changed the rules because, if something's simple and easy to understand, the legislature, I think, they all get together and they say to themselves, how can we make this confusing? How can we make this less sensical? So previous to their rule change from earlier this year, you had to have your ballot postmarked on the Monday before Election Day. So for this general election for municipal races, it would have been Monday, November 3rd. They changed that rule. Now, instead of just a hard deadline of a postmark by Monday to the day before Election Day, you just have to, your ballot has to be there physically by 8 p.m. on Election Day. The problem with that is if you drop your ballot in the mail on Saturday, most post offices are probably going to get it there before Tuesday. Polls close at 8. Some aren't, and there is no way for you to know. So you're rolling the dice if you drop it in the mail on Saturday before the election. Friday before the election, you're pretty safe. I don't think there's a post office anywhere in Cache Valley, even if it goes to Salt Lake and back, that is going to take longer than Friday, Saturday, and Monday to get your ballot to the county clerk's office. So Friday, you could mail it. Saturday, I'd say you're playing a 50-50 chance that your ballot doesn't arrive. And if your ballot is not there by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th, it won't count. They just shred them. So that is state law now. They made that the case earlier this year in the legislative session. Yeah, like I said, it was too easy, and they thought, let's make this complicated. And that's what they've done. So just use the drop boxes. You pass them every day. They're drive up, all but one here in Cache Valley is a drive up. You can literally just roll your car window down and slide it in the little slot. And most of them are open 24/7. I have heard, I haven't confirmed this, but some folks have told me there are a couple that they're locking at the end of business day at some locations. My understanding is that is not allowed. They are to be open 24/7 until Election Day at this point. But again, I haven't confirmed that any are being locked. But either way, it's the easiest way to do it, and they're collected multiple times a day. It will be there for sure in the hands of election officials before 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th, if you use a drop box this week. If you mail it by Friday. Otherwise, you're rolling the dice. So, yeah, those are the election rule changes to deal with. Fun stuff, right? Like I say, the legislature sees something easy and that makes sense, and they just, let's stir that up a little bit. All right. Moving on. Governor Cox, the backstory on this, the reason this kind of caught my eye is he had this planned speech to college Republicans already scheduled. This wasn't planned because of last week's controversy. The controversy last week is someone leaked a gigantic group chat that included college Republican leaders from all around the country in a big group chat, and it wasn't pretty. There was some pretty blatant racism. There was a comment by one person who now no longer works with that chapter of the college Republicans, understandably, who said rape was epic. Why a person would type this even in what they thought was a private group chat is beyond me, but glad that person's out of leadership. There were some pretty homophobic jokes and comments, and everyone most people tried to brush this off as, look, there's just a bunch of college-age guys being college-age guys. And I get that to some extent. There were a few comments, though, that understandably went beyond the pale. And so a lot of people were booted out, and it was a big thing, big discussion. And then Governor Cox, already scheduled, but he has to take the stage before this young Republican meeting here in Utah yesterday. Or last week, sorry. It was on Thursday of last week. I asked one of the staffers involved if they could get me the audio because this wasn't being live streamed or anything, and they were nice enough to do that with the governor's team's permission. And he it talks a lot about, you can watch the whole thing via the link on our Facebook page, listen to the whole thing via the link on our Facebook page. I uploaded it to a SoundCloud, but they uploaded it to a SoundCloud. It's interesting. He talks about being governor during the investigation of the Charlie Kirk assassination, the whole nation watching him, and how nervous he was. He talks a lot about endorsing Trump while still being a critic of Trump's behavior and word choices at times. He talks about the National Guard being used, politically by the Republican president right now. But then he also criticizes Democrats for using the shutdown politically. And in the end, he said, "This is the problem." And to the young people in the audience, he said, "You are the solution, but only one way." Here's just a little bit of about a 25-minute speech that Governor Cox gave to what he called the future of the country.
Perhaps there really is an exhausted majority, I remember thinking to myself, and maybe this is the message they want to hear. I could actually feel my faith in the American idea start to rekindle. The popularity of the ad validated my hope that most people really do want their political leaders to uphold the values that we teach our kids, that we can disagree without hate and contempt, even that we can find ways to treat each other with respect, even when we disagree. It seemed like there was a hunger for architects instead of arsonists. My hunch was confirmed 1 year later when a professor submitted a version of our ad to the Stanford Polarization and Social Change Lab as part of a huge depolarization experiment. It was chosen as one of 25 interventions to be tested on over 30,000 people. The result? Our ad actually had a measurable depolarization effect, including a reduction in urges towards violence. It turns out there really are things that we can do to alter the trajectory of the United States. Now look, I get it. It's easy to feel a little hopeless as Americans once again barrel towards an election with unsatisfying candidates and campaigns. But there is good news. Over the past 6 months, 20 governors from all across the country have filmed similar ads, most of them with a public servant from the opposing party. And the data continues to show that people really are hungry for something different. According to polling from More in Common, 70% of Americans hate the divisiveness in politics. And it also turns out that Americans aren't as far apart as we think we are. The problem isn't how far apart the average Republican and the average Democrat is on the actual issues. In fact, we're not much different than other Western democracies. The problem is how far apart we think we are, due in large part to conflict entrepreneurs in both the media and politics. Both sides overestimate the extremism on the other side by about 30%. Now, interestingly, this perception gap is actually strongest amongst progressive activists on the left and amongst extreme conservatives on the right. So the people most engaged in the political process also have the most inaccurate views of the other side. But perhaps the best news of all is that there are very practical things that every one of us can do every day to help heal the divides in our nations and our neighborhoods. First, we can start by turning off and tuning out some of those conflict entrepreneurs. My wife and I, we stopped watching cable news 11 years ago and immediately saw an improvement in our marriage, our family, and our mental health. Now, that always elicits a laugh, but we're not alone. Studies have found that more time spent on headlines, whether through social media or traditional media outlets, is really bad for our mental health. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon in different ways, like media saturation overload, or doom scrolling, or headline anxiety. You see, more news on all the time isn't making us smarter, it's just stressing us out.
Again, that was Governor Cox speaking to a group of young Republicans last week. You can listen to the entire thing. The audio has been uploaded by his team to a SoundCloud page, and they said they have video that will be coming. It was filmed, but they were nice enough to send me a little snippet there of the part I wanted to play for you. The governor also went, in reference to questions during the Q&A portion of the event, the young Republican men and women there, all under the age of 25, they had questions about his reference to what he called conflict entrepreneurs, and he referenced a couple of for those of you who don't really engage in social media quickly, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, he made it possible to monetize a Twitter account outside of advertising and sponsors. You can actually make money from Twitter directly for generating a lot of engagement. And the governor pointed to two of the largest accounts right now in politics, one from the left, one from the right, and pointed out that the person who runs that account, making a lot of money off of that account, stirring and being a conflict entrepreneur, he called him, neither one of those people live in the U.S. The guy who runs the left-wing account that is constantly stirring and being a conflict entrepreneur lives in Canada, and the guy that runs one of the biggest right-wing accounts doing the same stirring and conflict entrepreneuring, the governor said, is from Malaysia. He said, you have to recognize at a certain point you are being played. It was a beautiful speech. The crowd was on their feet in a standing ovation at the end, and we'll see if it sticks. The ad he's referencing, by the way, was his ad from a couple of years ago with the Democratic governor of Colorado, Jared Polis. They ran a campaign ad together called Disagree Better. You can see that ad. I think it's available everywhere. Anyway, interesting stuff from the governor. He's been on this beat a long time. I have to respect him for it. I'm not sure people are open ears to it yet, but it's definitely, like the Dignity Index, different from your usual generic and superficial pleas for civility. And I like this. I like that it's an actual thoughtful discussion he's trying to start. So check it out. Again, the full video will be uploaded soon, the governor's team told me, and posted to his Facebook page. When it's there, I will link to it on our own. And we'll be back with more of KVN News for the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Hey there, this is Colleen from Pool Orthodontics. We're thrilled to be your Best of Northern Utah Silver winner for Best Orthodontist. It's an honor and a reminder of why we love doing what we do. Thanks for voting, and thanks for being a part of our story.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Are you on your feet a lot? When traveling, do you find yourself sitting for long periods of time? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and we have compression stockings that can help you. Our compression stockings are designed to improve circulation, reduce swelling, and provide unmatched comfort. Come check out all the different styles and fabrics. These aren't your great-grandparents' compression stockings. That's why we're excited to offer an amazing deal. Buy 3 pairs of compression stockings and get a free care kit. That's right, 3 pairs of compression stockings and get a free care kit. Come into any of our 11 locations and invest in your health this winter by embracing the benefits of compression. For more details, visit us at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News, tracking the government shutdown, Trump's trip in Asia, and Hurricane Melissa's damage. Also, where things stand with a year to go before the all-important midterm elections. We'll examine the latest polling and strategies. Plus, why we can't stop talking about inflation and the workplace trends set to define 2026. Wednesday, on This Morning, America's First News. Tomorrow morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Just a quick reminder. I mean, this is the time of year for it anyway, but with SNAP benefits on hold starting November 1st for families in need here in Cache Valley, Matthew Whitaker, director of the Cache Community Food Pantry, with an update. He spoke with us a couple of weeks ago here in the studio, but he has an update. He said they are seeing a rapidly increasing request for help, need from families here in Cache Valley. And they're asking the community to do everything they can, whether that's a direct food donation or, as you know, they can do a lot more with your dollar at the grocery store than you can. They can buy tax-free and buy in bulk. A cash donation, that is, the Cache Food Pantry website. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. But help them if you can. Coming up in hour 2, Jen Seeley. She's a candidate for Providence City Council as our continuing candidate candidate spotlights continue here on the show. She'll kick things off next hour, and after that, why a Bountiful landscaping company is suing former Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes for $1 billion. You heard me right. A landscaping company in Bountiful suing the former Attorney General, who left office in a bit of a cloud of murky relationships and more. They're suing him for $1 billion, what the suit alleges. That's coming up in hour 2 of today's show, right after this, here on KVNU Logan.
As our world changes, we'll keep you up to date. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM, the voice of Northern Utah.